would like to share with you an end time headlines. Notice with me carefully. This is from the Dallas Morning News. Beto O'Rourke says he'd revoke tax-exempt status of religious groups that oppose same-sex marriage. Now, you may look at this in the wrong way, agree or disagree with him, but we want to look at, based on the prophecies of the Bible, if this man is right. Beto O'Rourke is a candidate on the Democratic side running for president. He has been even against assault weapons. Now he is going after those religious leaders, institutions, religious institutions, whether if it's ministry or a church, that oppose same-sex marriage. Keep in mind, Revelation chapter 13 here, image of the beast, verses 12 and 14, which describe the image of the beast, a unification of church and state that will take place right before the mark of the beast, which will lead us to the mark of the beast. And as we look at the history of what is called 501c3 or tax-exempt status, which was an idea that the papacy gave to Lyndon Johnson, who was then Senator Johnson, then later became President of the United States. And then it was a way to infiltrate the churches or ministries from preventing them to speak against the Pope and other issues like this one, same-sex marriage. Notice, in the book of John, chapter 18, Jesus is speaking before Pilate. Verse 35, Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Thine own nation and the chief priests have delivered thee unto me. What hast thou done?" Notice, Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence." What was Jesus saying to Pilate here? Jesus was telling Pilate he has no intention to unify church and state. My kingdom is not of this world. That means we cannot give the government, we cannot mix religion with the government of this world. This is a contrast of Revelation chapter 13, again, verses 12 and 14, which speaks of a unification of church and state, which will lead to the mark of the beast. Keep in mind, again, my kingdom, Jesus says, is not of this world. Notice what Spirit of Prophecy tells us here. Great controversy, 296. Thus again was demonstrated the evil results so often witnessed in the history of the church, from the days of Constantine to the present, of attempting to build up the church by the aid of the state, of appealing to the secular power in support of the gospel, of him who declared, "My kingdom is not of this world." John 18:36. The union of the church with the state, be the degree never so slight, while it may appear to bring the world nearer to the church, does in reality but bring the church nearer to the world. This was the idea by introducing, quote unquote, tax-exempt status or 501c3 for churches and ministries. Remember in Revelation chapter 6, the third horse with the rider and the balance in his hand, the balance there which represent the unification of church and state or compromise as well. This was the era of Constantine. This unification of church and state gave birth to the pale horse, which was the papacy, the Dark Ages, 1260 years, where many could not worship God according to the dictate of their heart. Now we're going to look at the video where he was answering this question about tax-exempt status, same-sex marriage. Notice.
This is from your LGBTQ plan, and here's what you write. This is a quote. Freedom of religion is a fundamental right, but it should not be used to discriminate. Do you think religious institutions like colleges, churches, charities, should they lose their tax-exempt status if they oppose same-sex marriage?
Yes. There can be no reward, no benefit, no tax break for anyone or any institution, any organization in America that denies the full human rights and the full civil rights of every single one of us. And so as president, we're going to make that a priority, and we are going to stop those who are infringing upon the human rights of our fellow Americans.
Congressman, thank you.
Now, the question we would like to ask is, do you agree with him or disagree with him? What he just said here, he is partly right. Because when a church or a ministry signed up for 501c3 or 5014, whatever they call them, you have surrendered your right to that religious body. I remember years ago when I was looking into starting this ministry, and I was under a lot of pressure from some who was telling me about 501c3. But for some reason, I didn't feel like it was something that I should get into. The Spirit of the Lord impressed upon my mind not to do this. Long story short, I did my own research. I knew what I've heard about 501c3 before, but didn't do my own research. But after I've done my own research, I thank God that I did not get into that trap. So again, he's saying that when you signed up for this, the government can come and take your 501c3 away from you if you do not agree with certain things that the government is promoting. And they can do that because you, when you signed up for that, have become a property of the government. They can actually come and do that. Notice with me what this says here. This is from someone who worked for the IRS. I am not the only IRS employee who's wondered why churches go to the government and seek permission to be exempted from a tax notice they didn't owe to begin with, and to seek a tax deductible status that they've always had anyway. Many of us have marveled at how church leaders want to be regulated and controlled by an agency of government that most Americans have prayed would just get out of their lives. Churches are in an amazingly unique position, but they don't seem to know or appreciate the implications of what it would mean to be free of government control. Why do we do things like that? Well, some do it because they did not know. But at the same time, we have to keep in mind, as students of Bible prophecy, the image of the beast. Remember, when the question again came to Jesus about taxes, should we pay tribute to Caesar or not? How did Jesus answer this? He said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar, and unto God what is God. Notice what Spirit of Prophecy tells us here. When the scheming priests sought to entrap him by sending spies to him with the question, is it lawful to render tribute to Caesar? He had directed their attention to the image and superscription of Caesar upon the tribute money, and answered, render unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's. Jesus himself had paid tribute and had taught his disciples to do so. We cannot go wrong if we follow the example of Jesus Christ, because he is the way, the truth, and the life. Let's follow the example of Jesus Christ and stay free from government control so we can preach the three angels' messages without fear of what men might do unto us. This is one of the reasons why the General Conference and many of those churches and ministries out there cannot preach about certain things because they have a 501c3 tax-exempt status. What's going to happen if the Democrats were in control, and if Beto O'Rourke was the president of the United States of America, those ministries would conform to the demand of the government. They are already doing so. But again, Jesus is my Lord. He is the way, the truth, and the life. Let us follow Jesus. God bless you.